Welcome back to a new video on the MPC, and this is the chapter number 7, and we need to talk about pad mutes and track mutes. You don't need to go to any specific place. If you go to track mutes, well, you go to track mutes, this is the screen, and if you go and do shift and you press, you're going to be in pad mutes. Still, if you go to the main menu right here, you can find the option there, pad mute and track mute. First, if you like all of this, please like and subscribe, and this channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links under the description for PayPal, YouTube thanks, and Patreon. So let's begin with the pad mutes first. Alright, so I have a tiny little arrangement right here. If I play it back, this is how it sounds. Pretty easy. Okay, so I have some drums. Then I have a bass, and then I have a synth. So I have 3 different tracks. I'm gonna go to the pad mutes, hold shift, then go to pad mutes. So right here, this is very simple. It's gonna show you all the different, pads that you have for a program. In this case, if I play it back, it's playing the program of the drums, right? But I can go right here and move this, and it will take me to the plugin program. Of course, for a plugin program, you don't have pad mutes, so it will tell you right there. So I'm gonna go back to the drums. If I play it back, right here is very simple. You can just tap the different pads with the screen, and it's gonna, of course, mute whatever is that you have on those pads. You can also use the pads at the bottom, right? Just press them and it will mute everything. Cool. Simple, right? Okay, so this is very simple, but still, you have a lot more options. Oh, and one more thing, you can do multiple at once. If I press 3 at the same time, you get it. And okay, so you have more options, especially right here at the top with automation. We can talk about automation at the end. But then at the bottom right here, you have the pad mute, which is the mode that we have right now. But you can go to pad group. And on this one, what you can do, you can just group different pads. And once when you mute one of them, it's going to mute them all. By default, when you create a new kit, all the pads are not inside of a group. But if you import maybe maybe a kit from an expansion, you might have this on for you might have grouped some of the pads. In this case, let's say I want to group them. So I want to mute the kick, and when I mute the kick, I want to mute the snare as well. So the only thing that you need to do is you need to make the pad part of a group. Right now it's off, so I'm going to select the kick, and I'm going to say the kick is on the group number 1. And right there, it will tell you the kick is on number 1. Now, if I go to the tool and I make the snare, part of the same group, now when I get out of here and play it back, I can mute the kick. I'm going to do it with the screen. If I mute the kick, it will mute the snare as well. And just like this, you can easily create groups and mute multiple pads. If you want to remove them from a group, you just need to go there and say off, and this one it's off, and it will remove the number. As you can see here, you can create up to 16 groups, right? So super useful. I'm gonna go back to the pad mute. You have an easier, I want to say easier, it's just a maybe more direct way. You can do it with the Q links. If I press it, notice it will go to the next row and the next row and the next row. So each Q link will be one single pad. If I press this, it will tell me pad 1, and then it says group none, pad 2, group none. So I could go here and say that the 1, it's part of the group 1, and then the 2 is part of the group number 1. So we can easily do this with the with the Q links. So if I play it now and I mute it, this works. So it's a little bit more direct than doing it from here, but you can choose if you must. If I go to pads and I want to remove them from the group, I'm gonna say none and none. And then of course they're gonna stay muted. And there we go. That's how you can do it with the Q links. At the bottom you have the time division. So if this one is off, it means that when you mute, it will instantly mute the pad or the group. I can do this. I'm gonna play it. As soon as I press it, it's gonna mute it. Doesn't matter when. But maybe if you're playing this track, you want the mute to groove along with the track. So you can say, okay, so it's gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for one bar, and then in the next one is gonna mute whatever is that I'm muting. So if I play it back, at some point, it's gonna mute it. And notice it blinks first, and when it goes to the next bar, it's gonna mute it. Now to make it more obvious, I'm gonna make it 2 bars, so it's the whole, the whole duration of my pattern. If I unmute it, it's gonna blink, mute it, it's gonna blink, not muting it. When we go to the next bar, then it's gonna mute it. So, that's how it works. This, again, it's completely up to you and how you want to do it. If you want it off, you can do off, and if you want triplets, you can do triplets. And that's it pretty much with the pad mutes. The next thing is going to be the automation, how we can record automation with pads. But I'm going to show you after I show you how the track mutes work. So the track mutes work pretty much the same way. And remember, I have a drum, a bass, and a synth. And notice that you even get the same options, right? So you can track mute, you can create a group with the different tracks. And then, in this case, you have solo, and then you still have your time division. So it's pretty much the same deal. And if I play it back, I could go here, mute the drums, mute the synth, mute the bass, and just mute everything, and just get the drums, just get the synth, and so on and on and on. Cool, right? Super simple. Since now we know how the pad mutes work, this is just super simple. Same thing with the track groups, and you even get, if I go back, you get the the assignment to the groups. So now they belong to the same group. If I play it back and tap, it's gonna mute them all. Cool. So again, real simple now that we know how the pad mutes work. Now you can also, if I play it back, you can go into solo. And depending on what you have selected, it's gonna solo it. If you press it back, it's gonna get out of the solo, and so on and so on and so on. So if I go to bass, I'm just gonna get the bass, and I'm just gonna get the synth, and so on and so on and so on. Cool. Now, if you go to the settings, you have a couple more options, like instant track mute, which is, by default, what we are doing right now, since the time division, it's off. But if you play it back, you have that option. When you press this, it's gonna instantly mute the track. Sometimes it works a little bit funny, but the important part right here is the next options. Play track mutes and solo events, and record track and mute solo events. So all of this has got to do with automation, because you can go here and record whatever mutes that you create. So let's do that. Let's talk about automation. Okay, so I am on the track mute. If I want to, I can do rec or overdub in this case, and whatever is that I do here is gonna record it. Now make sure that the last 2 are checked for now. If I do rec and play, doesn't matter, after 1 round, it will go to overdub. But if I wanted to, I can do something like that, and it will record the mute, and it will play it back. And it's that simple. Right? So, super easy to do. Now, the thing is that, what happens if you want to delete the automation? Well, you have 2 choices. You can, if you recorded something and you want to disregard the automation, well, when you go right here, these 2 options are for that. It's going to say play, track, mute, and solo event. So if you uncheck it and you close it, and now play it back, notice that there's no automation going on. It's just not playing the automation track. So if you did something, but you don't want to delete it, you can use that option and avoid using the automation. And the other option, the record track mute, well, this is just for the automation. If you are trying to record something and you don't want to record the automation, well, you uncheck this one, and it will not record the automation. Now, in this case, if I play it back, I do have some automation going on, right? So, how the F do I delete this? So for this, I'm going to go back to the main, and remember we are muting tracks. The pads are going to be a little bit different, but Pretty much the same idea. So I'm going to be on the main. Remember, we have drums, we have bass, and synth. So I'm going to go back to drums, and I'm going to go to grid. So what we are recording is automation. When you open the lane, you can go here, and if you keep scrolling, it will give you the automation. If I play it back, notice that when we get here, it's muting the drums. And remember, we are doing tracks, not pads. So if we are on drums, it's going to show you the automation for the drums. If I go to the next one, which is going to be the bass, it's going to show you the automation for the bass and the automation for the synth. Now, how can you do to delete this? Well, you can go to the erase. Yeah, you can do that. But if you want to delete it completely, you can press the trash icon or the bin icon, and it will delete the automation. Now, if I go to the next one, I can, instead of deleting the automation, I can maybe go to the draw and, create a new automation. Cool, right? Again, if you want to delete it, I'm gonna kaboom, delete it. I can go to the next one and delete it as well. So that's how you edit the automation that you recorded when you did the mutes. Can we record pad mutes? Well, yeah, we can. But it's a little bit funny to edit. Make sure that you have no automation going on right on the tracks. When I do shift and I go to pad mutes, of course this one is not available. I need to go to the Velvet Kit, which is, the drum program. And right here to record an automation, you need to have this on. Right now it's green, which is the read mode. Well, you need to tap it and notice it will go red. So now you are recording automation. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to overdub and I'm going to play. It's going to count in. And now, just simply need to just mute it. And then when it plays back, it will it's going to play all your pad mutes. Simple as the track mute, right? Now, when you're done, make sure that you turn the record automation back to off, or to read in this case. When it's on read, it will still, read the automation you record. Now, you can do it with the pads if you must. You don't need to use the screen. I always use the screen because the camera is just always zoomed in right here, but you can't use the pads. Now, the question is, this is the easy part. So the question is, how can you edit the automation, right? How can you maybe remove it or just change it? Well, this is the same idea. I'm going to go back to main and I'm going to go to the grid. And remember, this is on the drums. I'm going to go back to the drums, not to the synth. So this works the same way. But the thing is that on the other one, we are recording the automation for the track. So we see it on one single timeline because we have one single track. On a pad, on a drum rack, we have 16 or, all the different banks of pads. And we are applying mutes to each pad independently. If I go here and then keep scrolling, we are going to find the pad mute, but it's going to be the pad mute for a pad. So if I go to the kick, and I'm going to need to do this. If I select the kick, well, it's going to show me the mute. I'm going to select the snare, and it's going to show me a different mute because that's the mute for the snare. If I show you the, I guess is the clap or hats, this is the mute for the hats. If I play it, notice this one is the kick, and off, on. Same thing with the snare. Snare, off, on. So to delete the automations for the pads, you will need to go pad by pad. And it's the same deal. If I go to the kick, I can edit the automation here, or I can just dispose it. Same thing with the snare. I'm going to go to the snare, delete it. I guess this one, I don't know what this is. Maybe it has no sound. That's fine. I'm going to go here and just delete this one. And this is how you just remove the automation for the different pads. And okay, so we are done. This chapter was, pretty easy and quick. If you liked all of this and you learned something new, please like and subscribe. And this channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links in the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon. see you on the next chapter. And the next one, it's super cool. It's going to be about the mixer. If I go to this, notice that you have this mixer. We already talked about this a little bit in the past, but you have a lot of different things right here at the top. So it's going to take a little bit more time than this video, right? Because we have a lot of different mixers.